Hello, guys and girls. It's Wager Detective right back at you, May 19th, 2026, reporting live from Atlantic City, and it's an absolutely gorgeous day outside. Wager Detective is stoked. Wager Detective had Game 7 yesterday, the Montreal Canadiens. So 2 days in a row, Wager Detective calls a Game 7, one in basketball, took the Cavaliers money line, and then the next night took the Canadiens in Game 7. Both tickets posted on Twitter. And the ticket pictures. I appreciate all my fans out there. Please follow Wager Detective on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Set alerts on Twitter. Subscribe on YouTube. And when you follow me on Twitter, join the Wise Guys Gambling Syndicate on my homepage, the community. And I love all my fans out there. Let's get into this cap. We're going to talk about the Cincinnati Reds versus the Philadelphia Phillies. And if we look at this game, the Reds, they're middling. They're 24-24 on the year. They're 4-6 in their last 10. 11-13 in road games. They're 8-6 in one-run games. They are 7-3 against left-handed pitching, which they'll see today in Jesus Luzardo. They're only 3-5 versus the National League East. If we look at the last 10 meetings at Philadelphia, the Reds are 4-6. They're scoring 3.9 runs per game to 4.4. If we look at the Reds' last 9 games overall this season, they are 4-5. They're scoring 5.77 runs per game to 5.33 for their opponents, and they've lost 3 straight games. But in their last 9, they've scored 5+ runs 4 times, but their opponents have scored 5+ runs 6 times. So Reds 4-5 last 9, 5.77 runs per game to 5.33, comes out to 11 runs per game average. If we look at the Reds this year on road night games, they are 7-7. They're scoring 4.42 runs per game to 4.28 runs per game average. That comes out to 8.70 runs per game average. Now, if we take the Reds' last 9 overall and their road night games this year and add them together, the combined score averages, it comes out to 9.9 runs per game average. The Reds are 3-5 versus the National League East this year, scoring 5.37 runs per game to 5.25. In those games versus the National League East this year, the Reds have scored 4+ runs 6 times, and their opponents have scored 4+ runs 5 times. So you can see the case being built for an over. You look at the pitching matchup, you're saying where are the runs going to come from, but the winds are blowing out here. It's run-inducing weather, 3% precipitation, winds blowing out, as you can see on the screen there, and it's going to be 94 degrees at Citizens Bank Park. So something to keep in mind there. Now, we talked about the Reds. Let's talk about the pitching. Who's going to be on the mound? Chase Burns. Chase Burns this year, the Reds are 6-3 this year when Chase Burns starts, and they're 4-1 in Chase Burns' last 5 outings. In Burns' last 5 outings, He's given up 20 hits, 5 earned runs, 9 walks, 33 Ks, and 3 home runs. That comes out to a 1.47 ERA, 0.94 WHIP. He's striking out 9.7 batters per 9, and he's only given up 0.88 home runs per 9. So Chase Burns, they're playing for him. They're really showing up when he comes out to pitch. And again, 4-1 in Chase Burns' last 5 starts. The Reds are in 6-3 in his starts this year. So something to keep on mind there. They're pitching well. Reds 7-3 versus left-handed pitching. Only 11-13 on the road, and only 4-6 last 10 at Philly. So that's that side of the cap for the Phillies. Let's get into the Philadelphia Phillies side of the cap. The Phillies are 8-2. They're 25-23 on the year. 2 games above 500, not bad. They're 8-2 in their last 10. 10-4 in one-run games. The game gets close, they win the games. They're marginally better than the Reds. Like we said, the Reds are 8-6 in one-run games. The Phillies are 10-4. The Phillies are 13-2 at home this year, and they're 5-6 versus the National League Central. Now, if we look at what the Phillies have done this year in home night games, they are 8-9, 13 over and 4 under that 8.5. So in Philly's 17 home night games this year, they're 8-9. 13 of those games have gone over, 4 have gone under. The Phillies scoring 4.76 runs per game to 5.44 runs per game for their opponent in home night games this year, being outscored run-wise 101-81 in their home night games this year, and that combined score comes out to 10.7 runs per game average. If we look at the Phillies' last 9, they're 8-1, 3 over, 6 under. So they've been playing to the under. Their games have been playing to the under over their last 9. In the last 9 games, the Phillies 8-1. Those wins have come against Boston, Colorado, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati. They swept Pittsburgh. They beat Cincinnati last night, and their other wins come against Colorado and Boston. So looking good in their last 9. Phillies are heating up. The Phillies' opponents in their last 9 have scored 1 run or less 5 times. But if I look at Colorado, Pittsburgh in there, I think they shut out Pittsburgh twice. I think the Reds are a better team over the course of a year, and they will show it eventually. When they start heating up, they'll be better than Colorado, obviously. They'll be better than Pittsburgh. And if you look at their lineup, they got guys in that lineup. Dela Cruz, when's he going to show up? I love Steer. I always have. Blade, former Oakland Athletic. Blake Dunn. I always had a thing. I always liked Tom Stevenson. So they got guys over there. They can hit. When's it going to work? I don't know. But they do have guys, and I think the Reds will have a better lineup than Pittsburgh and Colorado by the end of the year. So let's get into what else we got here. Phillies, like I said, they're looking good. Not so much in home night games, but 8-1 in their last 9. The Phillies have pitched 3 shutouts. They've had 3 shutouts against their opponents in their last 9 games. Again, I think there's going to be progression to the regression on those types of stats going forward, and Wager Detective is always kind of looking for that as he goes. So the Phillies this year, 5-6 versus the National League Central, 8 over and 3 under. They were swept in a 4-game series at Chicago this year. All their losses this year against the Central have come against the Chicago Cubs. In their 11 games versus the National League Central this year, the Phillies are scoring 5.54 runs per game, but they're giving up 6.18 runs per game. That comes out to 11.72 runs per game in their 11 games versus the National League Central this year. Their opponents have, in the games against the National League Central this year, their opponents have scored 5+ 8 times. But the Phillies against the National League Central this year have scored 5+ 6 times. So something to keep in mind on there. And Luzardo, we're going to get into him. This year, the Phillies are 4-5 in Luzardo starts. And his wins have come versus Colorado, San Francisco, Miami, and Boston. Now, if you look at those teams, not really good. First of all, he doesn't have a winning record. The Phillies don't have a winning record when he starts this year, and his wins, when they do win, have come against Colorado, San Francisco, Miami, and Boston. I think Boston's probably the only team in that bunch that's going to be better than the Reds this year when it's all said and done and the smoke settles. His losses this year came against Arizona, the Cubs, twice, Texas, and Colorado. So we've identified that Luzardo is having trouble against team from the Central. The Cubs beat him twice. You lost to Texas, and then you lost to Colorado. So something to keep in mind there when we look at this. In Luzardo's last 5 outings, 27 innings pitched, 25 hits, 8 earned runs, 8 walks, 31 Ks, and 2 home runs. So not really spectacular there. We can look at a little teaching moment here. We'll do that here. Wager Detective showing you how he's coming up with the ERA and this, that, the other. So 27 innings pitched, he's given up 8 earned runs. You take the 8 earned runs, you times it times 9 innings in a game, that's 72, divided by 27 innings pitched, and Luzardo's got a 2.66 ERA over his last 5 outings. Now, if we want to look at the whip, we're going to add the hits and bases on balls. He's given up 25 hits, 8 bases on ball, that's 33, divided by 27 innings pitched. And Luzardo has a 1.22 ERA over his last 5 starts. So Burns is pitching a little bit better, just marginally. I wish I would have looked into the cap and seen who he pitched against and who his wins were against, but for Burns. But I'll get better at this as Wager Detective goes. So something to keep in mind there as we get back to the cap, right? and we try to decide who we like in this game. So Luzardo, pitching pretty good in his last 5. But this is where it gets interesting, and this is where the lean for Wager Detective kind of really shifts. In Luzardo starts this year on 4 days rest, the Phillies are 1-2 in those games, and all those games have gone over. Now, if we looked at the metrics, as we've said throughout this cap, it does look like the Phillies are being outscored in home night games this year. They're being scored on in different ways. Okay, so 8-1. The teams in their home night games this year, teams are scoring 5.94 runs per game, right? And against the National League Central teams, in those 11 games, teams are scoring 6.18 runs per game against them. And the Phillies are 1-2 this year when Luzardo starts on 4 days rest. They are scoring 5.33 runs per game, but they're giving up 7.33 runs per game in Luzardo's 3 games this year when he pitches on 4 days rest. That comes out to a 12.66 run total in those games. In Luzardo's 3 starts on 4 days rest this year, 14.2 innings pitched. He's given up 26 hits, 15 earned runs, 4 walks. He struck out 20, and he's given up 3 home runs. That comes out to a 9.24 ERA, a 2.05 whip, and he's giving up 1.84 home runs per 9. That right there is going to lead me to call in this game. Wager Detective is going to call the Cincinnati Reds plus 124. I think I have to take a chance on that value. I think Burns' pitch is great. We can take a look and see what the numbers look like right now on FanDuel as I take you on this journey with me. Okay, so plus 124, the over-under, 8.5. Wager Detective, if they set the game like that and Luzardo's pitching like that in his last 5 with a good ERA and Burns is pitching better and the Reds are winning when he starts this year, 6-3 the Reds are when Burns starts this year. The Phillies got a hold of him yesterday. They came off the road trip where they swept Pirates and then they win this game close in this one. This is a red spot, guys. This is where we take the money line. If we lose, it doesn't matter. Let's take a look at the expected value on that. You want to do a little bit more math? Wager Detective is going to show you how to do the implied probability. So 124. So we take 100 divided by 100 plus 124. And they're saying that the Reds have a 45% chance to win this game. Right? Now, in many ways, that's spot on. But when we look at the pitching matchup, we see a better pitcher in the metrics that he's doing this year and what he's doing. Now, I will say Burns this year, I forgot to mention. So they're saying the Reds have a 44.6% chance of winning. I like that. I think this is more of a coin toss, if you ask me. Getting back to this cap, I did forget to mention in this cap that Burns on 4 days rest this year, the Reds are 2-2. He's pitched 24 innings, given up 16 hits, only 7 earned runs, 3 home runs, 9 walks. Thank you for watching the video. Wager Detective loves all his fans, and let's go Cincinnati Reds. Wager Detective will talk to you soon.